This is Tim Albright with AVNation with the AVNation special, taking a look at Shure and the Shure Next 2. With me is Aaron Niemann from Shure. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Tim. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you. If you're not watching the video, Aaron has a couple of the products we're going to talk about here, and I'll have him describe them. But first and foremost, Aaron, when Shure designed the MXW Next 2s, really quickly, it's a wireless system, wireless mic with a base station. You can kind of mix and match the type of transmitters, and I'll let you talk about that for a second. But what was the problem you guys were addressing when you developed the Next 2?
Yeah, great question. These days, just about every meeting or class or training session, it includes a mix of local and remote participants. I think we all are experiencing that and have for the past several years, of course. But at the end of the day, whether it's just an in-room presentation or a hybrid event, we got to deliver flawless audio for all of those people participating in that meeting. And honestly, Next 2 is the answer to that. It's a simple solution, and we're finding that it has quickly becoming the hub, really, for all of your audio needs in a hybrid classroom setting.
Aaron, before we get moving here, you've got three different types of transmitters, right? Three different types of audio receivers, I guess is the best way to put that.
Yes.
Walk me through the three different types on the MXW Next 2 and what each of them does.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have three different transmitters, my handheld, my body pack, and my boundary. The handheld microphone, the battery life on it is next to none. It's incredible. I have a 24-hour battery charge.
24 hours of use or 24 hours off the charger?
24 hours of use.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
right?
That is crazy.
And so and again, when we came to the drawing board, one of the biggest things with this in mind for a higher ed device is instructors will not put them back on the charging bay. It'll just be laying there, and half the time they won't even turn it off, right? And so you got to be able to walk into that room and it still work. And the crazy part about this is the handheld, like I said, the handheld is 24 hours, and then the body pack and the boundary are actually 17 hours. The neat part about, I want to talk just for a second about the body pack transmitter. This device can be used without a lav. You're listening to me today on the body pack with a WL185 lav. So, so it's one of our most popular lavs that's plugged in via TQ4G. However, in higher ed, oftentimes I need to be able to just walk in and either just clip this right onto my jacket, or the other thing is it comes with a lanyard, so I can drop this right on and hang it, and the built-in omnidirectional microphone will provide pristine, crystal clear audio to my far-end participants. Now, one last bit is this is actually a transceiver, not just a transmitter. On the bottom, we have a USB-C port that functions. It has two functions. We have so it serves to sit on the charging base and charge my transceiver, but with our USB-C to 3.5 millimeter adapter, I can actually plug now a set of earphones in and get some additional audio assistance. So some professors may have or struggle with hearing the far-end participants. So this now gives them assurance, and we don't get as many repeated questions in the classroom. So that's something very exciting about the Next 2 body pack.
So walk me through that for a second. I mentioned the fact that it's a wireless system. You've got different types of transmitters. What are the different configurations of the MXW Next 2?
Yeah. So at the very basic basis of MXW Next 2, it is a wireless microphone system, but again, it's really the next step in audio for hybrid events. So it's really four components in one. So again, it's a state-of-the-art wireless microphone system. It's also a smart charging station, so my transmitters will drop right back into the dedicated charging ports, and it tells me how much time I have left to a full charge. It's also an advanced DSP, as well as a fully equipped audio interface with analog, Dante, and USB-C interfaces that make it simple to connect to either a computer, a sound system, or even a video conferencing codec.
Oh, very cool. You guys make a fair amount of deal about the MXW Next 2 being, quote unquote, a hub. What does that mean?
So with its host of DSP, which we can talk about a little bit more in detail in just a second. So with my host of DSP and audio I/O, I can bring in multiple audio sources, not just my wireless transmitters that I've got. I can expand on the 2 channels of wireless while using my analog input. So if I want to pull in a wired handheld microphone or maybe a podium microphone that's sitting on a podium and it's hardwired, I can bring that into the Next 2 base station APT or access point transceiver, and then I also have 2 analog outputs, which allow me to do a couple of different things. I can use one of those outputs to go to a traditional video conferencing codec, an analog codec, and then send another one of those analog outputs to a sound reinforcement system, so to either a mixer or an amplifier for my in-room loudspeakers. And then I also have my USB-C port, which allows me to get into a Zoom or a Teams meeting really easily. So we have 2 Dante inputs as well as 3 Dante outputs. So with this host of DSP, mixing capabilities, and my fairly robust audio I/O, as well as my 2 channels of wireless, we can see how the Next 2 really is and has become the hub for all my audio needs in a classroom.
Very cool. You mentioned the DSP a couple of times. Talk about that for a second. This is, Shure is not unfamiliar with DSP, obviously having IntelliMix for quite a number of years, but talk about the MXW Next 2's DSP capabilities.
Yeah, so IntelliMix, at the very core of what it is, it's a high quality digital signal processing platform that provides best-in-class automatic mic mixing, noise reduction, automatic gain control, acoustic echo cancellation for your conferencing needs, and signal routing. Now, the beauty of IntelliMix is Shure's ability to implement this on our whole host of MXA products, for example, as well as our MXW products. We have an enormous amount of flexibility with respect to how we're processing our audio and sending it to whether it's a loudspeaker or a conferencing codec. IntelliMix provides us with a superior set of tools that is very hands-off. Now, we can get very refined with it, just like any DSP platform. Yeah. But the beauty of IntelliMix is the automatic mic mixer is just off the charts incredible. The ability to simply switch how much noise reduction I have. All of the buttons and knobs in IntelliMix are super intuitive to just about anybody. And the fact that we can actually implement IntelliMix on all of our MXA products built into those products, it ensures that those devices sound incredible and deliver pristine audio just about every time. So IntelliMix really is the next step in high quality digital signal processing.
You mentioned video conferencing a couple of times, Aaron. This product is both Teams and Zoom certified. So first of all, why is that important? Let's start with that. Why is getting certified for Teams specifically and Zoom specifically so important to Shure and so important to the end user?
Both Teams and Zoom certification were a part of, at the very forefront, a driving factor in designing MXW Next 2.
Okay.
These certifications ultimately provide the end user, the person using it, the confidence that when you plug it in, you know it's going to work because of the requirements in these certifications that Zoom and Teams puts on us as a developer, that when you plug it in, it has to work. There can't be any guesswork. There can't be any troubleshooting or any of that. So that certification provides that next level of just assurance that when you plug this device in, you know it's going to work with the platform that you're using. That's the beauty of this. So with the USB-C interface, it allows you to simply connect your computer to Next 2. It shows up as an audio interface. It shows up as your USB audio device in your drop-down menu in Zoom. And then the other piece is that along with delivering the superior audio that we know we're going to get, you also have the confidence, as part of the certification, we need to be able to visually see whether that microphone is on or off, or muted or unmuted. And so what's really kind of nice is with Mute Sync, the second that I mute my handheld or my body pack or the boundary microphone, which is one of the 3 transmitters that are available for MXW Next 2, the second I hit mute there, I get a visual indication that my microphone is actually muted. That mute passes through into Zoom or Teams, and I visually get an indication that it's muted there. So Mute Sync is a very important piece of confidence building when you're in a meeting and you need to make sure that it's on or it's off. Just as important, off. And sometimes we don't want to deliver information to the far end that they shouldn't receive. So Mute Sync is another piece of that certification that is important.
Well, really quickly, because I'm not going to ask you for the ones and zeros and the code behind this, but how does that work exactly? Is that part of the certification process where, Shure engineers are like, you know what, this is important, so we work with Zoom or Teams, make sure that those 2 pieces, in this case the MXA, the MXW Next 2, and the Zoom software, they talk to each other. Is that kind of where I'm getting?
That's exactly correct. Yeah. So the HID command, that code is embedded into our device. We are provided the information from Zoom and Teams on what needs to happen. So when I do hit the mute button on my physical device, that it follows through into the software GUI platform. So we visually get a representation at both locations. Now obviously it also works in reverse. If I hit the mute button or unmute the microphone in Teams or Zoom, it also unmutes my hardware. So it unmutes.
That's cool.
So it's not just the visual indication, it's physically muting and unmuting as well. So it works both ways.
Very cool. Again, if you're not watching the video, right behind Aaron is an MXA 902 device you guys released this year. It is a lot of us know the MXA line of mic arrays. This one has a built-in speaker, right? So talk to me for a second about where that MXA 902 fits into a Next 2 system.
Yeah, awesome, absolutely. I guess if we can, let's just talk for just a second about what the MXA 902 is. The MXA 902 is a PoE Plus Dante endpoint that is a microphone array in a 2x2 ceiling tile, but also contains a loudspeaker.
Okay.
So the beauty of that is being kind of an all-in-one device. Dropping that into a 2x2 tile allows me to pick up a 20 by 20 foot coverage area with the microphone. So in that small to medium, medium size, and even into sort of that medium large space, where I just need a simple chunk of coverage with my microphone and some basic sound reinforcement in the room where I need to just get audio back from the far side or far end, and maybe some in-room content, from a PowerPoint, for example.
Yeah.
The MXA 902 allows us to do all of that in a single device. Now, where it comes into play with the MXW Next 2 actually is a really cool combination. In those rooms where we would traditionally have multiple components for wireless microphone, we need in-room content coming back from a PC, and then we also need loudspeaker, typically a 70-volt distributed loudspeaker solution in the ceiling for that in-room audio content or PowerPoint presentation content, and then far-end audio coming back to the local participants. That requires an amplifier and dedicated speakers, a DSP, maybe even a mixer to achieve all of that. With the MXW Next 2 and MXA 902, I can achieve all of that with two primary devices. So in a room, for example, which we have a great room example, we can see that we have a primary presenter, for example, and then we also maybe have another adjunct professor or an assistant who's also presenting with that instructor at the same time, and then we have a classroom full of students.
Yeah.
And how do we achieve clear audio to be captured and sent to the far end, and then take that and then at the same time be able to hear our remote participants coming back? The ability to do that in two simple devices does a lot of different things. Of course, it cleans up how many devices are installed, so it cuts down on your labor and time. It cuts down on, potential device, complications. Everything that comes into play with a complicated integrated room becomes much more simple with a couple of network cables and really just two primary devices, and then obviously a camera. So the MXA 902 and Next 2 combination really provides a super slick solution to capture your in-room participant audio to send to your far-end participants. And not to forget, my 902 also provides some, if needed, some voice lift or even light sound reinforcement for your instructor.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece to this, and that's where IntelliMix really comes into play, and harnessing the power of IntelliMix, which is built into the MXA 902. It's built into the MXW Next 2, so that when I, the professor, am speaking on my handheld, IntelliMix says, this is the device that I need to send audio to the participants and to my loudspeakers. And when the professor or instructor is no longer speaking and a student asks a question, now the MXA 902 picks that audio up and sends that out of the building, or if you're capturing, recording, or whatever you may need. So that's the beauty and really the simplicity of the two of those together. And it's done all within the MXA 9. I'm sorry, it's all done within the Next 2. Because remember, I've got two Dante inputs on my Next 2.
Well, again, talk for a second about how that happens. Is it from a, I'm an IT director, I'm an AV manager at a college, and that situation you just talked about, where the instructor is talking, and then somebody in the classroom raises their hand, and then they have a question. Now, obviously, the IntelliMix it's almost like auto mixing. I don't know if that's the proper term here, but that's what we used to call it, is auto mixing, where it's choosing which channel to make live. What is the setup and what does the operation look like? Or is it pretty much, once you set it inside IntelliMix, it's just going to do it?
There's a couple of pieces that are at play, of course. The MXA 902 is going to employ IntelliMix, where I've got my echo cancellation, my AEC, and noise reduction and all of that stuff is built into the microphone and loudspeaker ceiling array unit. And that is sent out via what is called the auto mix output in IntelliMix. So it's taking all this information and spitting that information out, the auto mix output. Then that information gets sent via Dante to your switch, your PoE plus switch. As I said, we need a PoE plus switch involved. So that information gets delivered via Dante back to the MXW Next 2. The MXW Next 2 is ingesting the Dante stream into its dedicated Dante input. And the IntelliMix DSP in Next 2 is then marrying what's going on with my wireless channels into the Dante channels, and then is spitting that information out via the auto mix output on Next 2. And that auto mix is being sent to the USB-C for your conferencing codec. It's being sent to your Dante outputs if you want to route them through your Dante outputs. And it's also being sent through the analog outputs as well. So the overall routing or patching of it is really pretty simple and is only a couple of Dante subscriptions in Dante Controller.
All right, very cool. Aaron, I appreciate it. If somebody wants to find out more about Shure or obviously the MXW Next 2, how do they do that?
You can visit www.shure.com, or you can also get in touch with me if you so choose. I am NIEMANA
Make it easy. But we'll have Mitchell put a link on this episode's page. Aaron Niemann, thank you so much from Shure. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Find programs like this and a host of others. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AV Nation.